Good Tuesday afternoon, James Sinclair from NStormCenter.com. One update on the severe weather threat for the southern states. Now, the severe weather threat, we do have a moderate risk that the Storm Prediction Center just issued earlier this morning. We do have the moderate risk for states including Louisiana, eastern portions of Arkansas, western portions of Tennessee, including Memphis and into Little Rock, as well as getting into Birmingham, Alabama, and Mobile. Western portions of Alabama do have that high or moderate risk for seeing severe weather, as well as far western portions of the Florida Peninsula. Now, this is almost the same exact setup that we had last week with the severe weather that prompted the tornado in New Orleans. Now, New Orleans only has an enhanced risk, which is still pretty high for severe weather, but not as high as the other states that we do see. Now, the Storm Prediction Center also issues tornado probability, as well as wind gust probability and hail probability. Now, these chances are pretty high considering the scale right now. We do have a 2% to 5% chance for areas in Texas and areas west of Shreveport, Louisiana, as well as Little Rock. To the east of Little Rock and Shreveport, we do have a pretty high chance, seeing 10 to 15% chances in Louisiana, Alabama, and as well as Florida, the western portions of the peninsula, including I-10. And then getting into I-20, I-55, and I-65, you do have a 10% chance of seeing some severe weather. Now, this is tornado probability of, I believe it's EF2 or higher. So this is a really decent shot at seeing a pretty significant tornado. They do have a significant tornado index that they have been using, and that also has a hatched area, which means that there is a pretty decent chance of seeing a significant tornado. Again, that's EF2 or higher. Future wind gusts is also going to be a problem. There is also a high wind watch that either will be issued or is already issued for southern states. Wind gusts could be as high as 50 to 60 miles per hour in some areas. Again, straight line wind damage is also possible, including power lines and some tree branches down as well. Now, winds could gust as high as 65 miles per hour. This is not including thunderstorms. So, again, there will be the straight line wind damage possibility from just a normal wind gust or in severe weather as well. Mainly going to be a straight line wind event. There could be a few supercells, or there could be supercells that do produce some tornadoes. They could be significant and they could be not significant. But again, any tornado is significant. So remember to take your severe weather shelter plans in place, including when there is a tornado warning, you are in your shelter. Make sure you're wearing your helmet. Get an extra pair of shoes if you have some food and water as well. Those are all tips that could save your life, as well as do not stay in mobile homes during a tornado, because that could cause a pretty good chance of death. So we do have dew points in the 40s and 50s. This is 4 p.m. on Wednesday. This is the HRR model. 40s and 50s are going to be west of Memphis and Lafayette, Louisiana. Now, Lafayette is going to be in the 50s to 60s, but areas west of that, including Orange, I-49, and I-20, and Louisiana, also do have the 40s and 50s for dew points. So less significant and less humid, but again, it was humid the day before. Now, as we get into Mississippi, so including Jackson, Memphis, and New Orleans, including I-55 and the Mississippi side of I-20, also do have 50 and 60 degree dew points. I have seen some models that go up to 65 to 70, so that is very humid, which will again get a higher chance at seeing some enhanced severe weather risks for the day on Wednesday. Now, the time of arrival for Louisiana and Arkansas is going to be earlier in the day, probably noontime to about 4 o'clock, when the storms will start to make their way into Mississippi, and there's going to be nighttime severe weather storms in Alabama, so that could cause a problem as well. So again, keep in mind you need to be prepared with NOAA Weather Radio and watch any local news station that you are down that they have down there. Now, I-65, I-10, so interstates that are in the path of these potential supercells is I-55, I-20, I-59, I-10 in Mississippi, Alabama, and as well as Florida. We have western portions of I-40 and I-269 and leading into Memphis. Memphis, you are in the severe weather as well. Now, this is what I was talking about before, damaging wind probability. This is a 45% chance of seeing wind gusts over 75 miles an hour, or over 65 miles an hour, rather, in a 25-mile radius of this forecast. Now, in the areas of pink, that's a 45% chance. Areas in brown is going to be 5 to 15% chance. In the yellow, 30 in red, and then again 45 in pink. So it will be very windy. Could have straight line wind damage. Power outages is a possibility. So it will be a higher chance at damaging winds and some damages as well. Now keep in mind there is the chance of hail as well. That is with any severe weather threat, there is a 10 to 15% chance of seeing hail 2 inches or diameter. Now, the main threat for this, I would say, is tornadoes and lightning, as well as the damaging wind threat. Now, tornadoes is not going to be widespread tornadoes. There could be widespread tornadoes, but it's less likely in the areas that aren't seeing the higher risk of severe weather. Now, with the severe weather risk, I would say that there's a pretty good chance at seeing the National Weather Service issuing a higher outlook as we get into later tonight and into the morning as well. Now, this is a wind shear forecast for the HRRR as well as MART for tomorrow. Now, it will be very windy out in the South, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and into Florida as well. This is going to be a look at the future radar. So we do have the lines starting up later in the day, 4 p.m., getting into 6 as well. So 6 p.m. to 7, 8, and 9 is going to be Alabama. There's going to be some pretty heavy rainfall, so it could lead to some flash flooding in some areas. Keep in mind that there is that chance again of flash flooding. So remember, turn around and don't drown. We will have another video possibly tomorrow morning with more updates as we get them.